Hi guys, morning. Morning to you guys. I always wear my vest on these videos. It's quite warm and I just feel more comfortable in a vest. I can wear a jumper or a shirt, but I'm always comfortable in my vests. So my name's Louis. I'm in the Southwest UK. I've got my lovely 4-year-old boy with me today. We're going to go off out soon. Yeah. Yes, we're going to go to McDonald's. We're going to buy him a toy. We're going to walk the dogs. We might drive to the beach in the camper. So the mum is going to be away today with Yasmin, my 7-year-old. So it's me and him for 2 days. The big kids are doing their own thing. The big kids, when they pass 11, mate, Daddy is embarrassing when they pass 11. So I don't know what it's like for you guys, but I always found my kids, as they got older, they sort of hide in their bedrooms and do this all the time. Hi, Dad. How are you? What are you doing today? Yeah. So I thought I'd make this particular live stream. Just start going through some of the books that have been released about Elvis. And the one that keeps getting said to me is Destined to Die Young. Destined to Die Young from Sally Holdall. So I've been watching loads of interviews of Sally talking about Destined to Die Young. And very interesting, by the way. And the book sounds great. I've been looking around to see where I can buy it. It's quite expensive. It's like 30 quid. But the thing I've learned about Sally is she is very, very passionate. Right, I love the fact that she is an Elvis fan. Proper, right? Tina, just turn that down, please. I love the fact that she's an Elvis fan, a proper, loyal, true Elvis fan. I love that. So what we're going to do is, I'm all very new to this book. Don't know that much about it. And we're going to just try and understand the book a bit. We'll look it up on Amazon and eBay and see what they say about it, play a couple of interviews about it. And we'll start off with Destined to Die Young, and then we'll just generally just scan through what different books that are popular, because there's so many, we can't go through them all. We can just go through the ones that are more liked by the fans, and just get a feel for the books that are out there. And then, if possible, guys, can you comment and tell me what books you recommend, what books you think are a great read? And I'm very interested in the books that are truthful, that haven't twisted the truth, and talk about the real Elvis, the true Elvis that we know. And the books that just repeat the same boring old story that we've heard 1,000 times doesn't interest me, because it's more of that version, isn't it? Just more the propaganda of what we've been spoon-fed for the last 50 years. And a lot of these books are just repeating, I would say, hearsay. I would say rumor or speculation. They're not really doing their homework and the actual facts. And we want the facts. And as this channel is called, Searching for the Truth, we want the truth. Elvis fans want the truth. We want what happened, not a story that sells and makes lots of money. We don't want a money maker. We want a truth maker. Okay, so I got myself a tea. I'm going to play this video, and then we're just going to start looking around. I don't actually know what we're going to do yet. We're going to let this live stream just unfold.
By his first name, and as recognizable as Coca-Cola and Mickey Mouse. But Elvis was a real person, and he's rarely given that opportunity anymore, I think.
Definitely. We lost Elvis, we lost Prince and Michael Jackson, all potentially due to medication, really. And we'll get to the sad circumstances of his death shortly. But let's take a look at the front cover of your book. I know it's proving to be a bestseller already. There it is. And what a fantastic photograph you've chosen of Elvis for the front cover. Destined to die young. Well, when he was born, he was destined for greatness, wasn't he? I mean, what do we know about his early life, Sally?
Well, his early life was a struggle through poverty, the type of poverty that I think we rarely understand today. And it did influence him. And when we look at Elvis as a performer, he was motivated. He was creative. Obviously, he contributed, culturally to our universe in a way that no one ever has before. So it's hard to imagine that his main motivation wasn't to make music, but really those early years drove him. And his main motivation was to provide for his parents and to pull them out of poverty. And he did that. And he continued to do that through, a lot of health ailments that made it very difficult to be Elvis Presley. But he was so committed to being that provider. And those early years of struggle, they really laid that foundation for him.
And so great words there from Sally Holdall. And this guy, he does seem to be asking the right questions. We'll see how it unfolds. But come on, we all knew Elvis completely lived for his mum, his dad, later in life for Lisa Marie, and he always wanted to do the right thing by his family and the Memphis Mafia and any close friends that he had, any girlfriends. Elvis just had a lovely side. But part of the reason this book appeals to me is because Elvis is painted in such a bad light by so many things, by so many books and interviews, especially the interviews, that he was generally this overweight, bloated drug addict that only cared about womanizing. And it is so far from the truth. It is so far from the truth. And this book tries to break down that and tries to get to the core of Elvis and understand, firstly, why he was so unwell, because he definitely had very serious medical problems that probably came from his parents and his parents' parents. And Elvis was a proud man, so he tried to hide a lot of the problems he had medically from everyone because he wanted to be seen as the strong person that was the head of the business. Yeah. And in front of the fans as well, he wanted to come across like he was sure of himself and confident. And I think that as he got unwell, especially in the last few years, and overweight, and I think it was very easy to say, he was overeating and was a drug addict. But this book, it delves deep into why he needed so much medication. It also admits that he didn't just use the tablets to help his medical problems and to ease his pain and for sleeping, etc., that he sometimes would take too many because it just made him feel good. So she's quite fair. But it also delves into his childhood and his relationship with his parents, and it tries to understand why Elvis felt that she tries to explain what made Elvis tick, what made him, what was the essence of Elvis. She tries to get to this. Hi, Nadja. Hope you're well. Just so you know, I think it's about, I don't know, what is the time? 10:08. And I thought one of the subscribers mentioned the book Destined to Die Young with Sally Holdall is the author, which I think was a bestseller. And I just thought, that got me thinking, let's start looking at some of the books that were written about Elvis. So we're just watching an interview of Sally Holdall talking about the book, but we're not just going to look at this book. We're going to try and look at a few.
Health and health issues. Were health issues a theme of his life?
Absolutely. And, this is a layer that has been buried for literally decades. By the time Elvis passes in 1977, he has disease or disorder in 9 of the 11 systems of the body, and they've often been completely set aside as the end result of the prescription medication use. But what my research shows is that at least 5 of those were present prior to fame, most likely since birth, so they're genetic in nature. And one of the reasons for that is that his maternal grandparents were first cousins. So that doubling of the gene pool, it created trouble for his mother, Gladys, and for several of her siblings. And we see it in Elvis too. So when we have 4 and 5 family members dying in their 40s of heart, liver, lung issues, which is a lot of what Elvis was dealing with, it stops being a coincidence, and there starts to be something there to it. So, that was kind of the launching pad for this research and this investigation.
So do we know what his symptoms were?
So I'm going to try and pick out a few little short interviews with Sally Holder, see if we can just get a feel for the book. So morning, Nadia. You said you're having your coffee. I've got honey in my tea. And I don't put too much because honey, even though honey is a very natural, beautiful product, too much honey is fattening. And the bottom line is honey is sugar. It's a very natural sugar, but too much of any sugar is not great. So just keep it a small amount, Nadia. You'd be good. Yeah. But honey in tea or coffee is lovely. I only actually put 1/4 of a spoon, just enough to take away the bitterness of the tea, to make the tea more enjoyable. That's the bottom line. Right, so Elvis's nurse Trish wrote a book also. It might be interesting. Yeah. So because there's so many books, I'm just going to touch on them. I wanted to make the main theme of the beginning of this live stream that Destined to Die Young. I just want to put some more hot water in my tea so we last a bit longer. But Sally Holdall, the author of that book, is lovely. She's a genuine fan that truly loves Elvis. I like that. That's important to me. It's important that who is writing the book loves Elvis. They're not just writing the book because, I think a lot of books are just, it's all about, right, let's get the story. How much money can we make? We don't want that. We want, let's get the truth. Oh, and it may well be successful and take some money. I think Sally Holdall is surprised how well this book has done. She knows that the Elvis community is massive. I've seen her say it in her interviews. And she also knows that there's a lot of love by the Elvis fans. The Elvis fans really do care. They literally treat Elvis like he's part of their family. And if you say something bad about Elvis, you're going to get a massive reaction because he's family. Sounds like an important book the world needs to know. And Nadia, it didn't take me long watching YouTube to find a lot of information out about this book. She even reads part of this book in her YouTube interviews. So which is brilliant. I love that. I'm going to slowly build up my book collection of Elvis so we can start going through these chapters one at a time. And I definitely want Destined to Die Young. So when I get that, that'll be probably my next book. And it really does highlight all the different medical conditions that he had. So let's just listen a bit longer.
Was he in pain? Did he have suspected heart attacks? What did he go through before fame hit? Do we know?
Absolutely. Well, it starts with something that sounds as simple as insomnia, and he was a lifelong insomniac, and there's only a few things that can usually cause that in children, but he had it from a very young age, and it was the first ailment for which he turned to medication, and it worked. It solved his problem, and then it turned to things like Dexedrine, which also helped and solved problems. And looking through the historical context of the time, a lot of these things weren't seen as dangerous. Dexedrine until almost 1970 was thought to have the same addiction level as caffeine. So he found relief from many of his ailments in these medications. And unfortunately, the medication is all that's known and not the ailments. But we know he had a serious colon problem that caused a lot of pain. We know he had an autoimmune disorder, which, never would have been recognized probably in the 1970s. They're hard to diagnose today. But we know he had hypogammaglobulinemia, which basically means he had a difficult time fighting infection. So when he's repeatedly sick in the 70s on tour and they may have to cut a show short or cancel a show, he really is ill during some of those times. And yes, the prescription medication also became a problem, but he was certainly self-medicating through a lot of this pain, through a lot of this disorder. He had a liver and lung issue that we know he inherited, most likely. The prescription medication also
pause that there, so I can just sort of butt in now and then. Hi, Tracy. Good day. I've got tea with quarter of a spoon of honey. I know it's against the rules, but I tend to have a tea with nothing in it first. But then as the day goes on, when I'm getting closer to the time I'm going to eat, I will put a tiny bit of honey in. So I'm a rule breaker. And we've got Nadia is having a coffee with honey in, I think, for the first time, because she normally has lots of sugar. So I would rather have a tiny bit of honey, like quarter of a spoon, than 2 or 3 spoons of sugar. That's got to be better for you, Nadia. And Seoul, isn't that Seoul? Just remind me where you're from, Seoul. So Seoul says, what would Elvis's book say had he been able to write an autobiography? Yeah. And you imagine if someone found one that he did write, that would be amazing. When I've been watching Sally Holdo's interviews, she says that they go into detail about Gladys and the time when she died, when Elvis was at Fort Hood doing his basic training. And in this book, from what the interview says, Elvis knew that Gladys was very unwell. He knew. So that's very interesting to me, because I've always thought that Gladys suddenly becoming ill was a complete surprise to everyone. And by the looks of it, it wasn't. So I definitely want this book. Definitely. Yeah, why me? But and so Tracy says, Destined to Die Young is a very informative to Elvis's health problems and heartbreaking when you realise. From the interviews I've seen, I like the way that she goes back to Mississippi Tupelo days, and she follows everything, and then goes all the way through the years as he got more unwell. So it gives you a very rounded perspective of how things were, and including with Vernon, his parents, Gladys, her parents. So it sort of tries to uncover why Elvis was so unwell. I actually think a lot of fans don't understand that Elvis was very unwell. They just think he was taking drugs and eating too much. They don't realize why he needed so much medication, why he bloated, because he had, like she said, he had autoimmune problems. But to me, autoimmune problems are caused by inflammation in your body, and inflammation in your body can cause so many illnesses. And plus, just generally just eating very badly, so eating all the wrong foods. This all contributed to him being so unwell. Then we've got the insomnia problem. So, it's easy to look back, isn't it? And right, let's have a look. Let's just keep playing this interview. I quite like this interview. It's why I want to play most of it.
It became a problem, but he was certainly self-medicating through a lot of this pain, through a lot of this disorder. He had a liver and lung issue that we know he inherited, most likely from his maternal line. I've traced that up his family tree, along with a number of other things.
Perhaps, therefore, his reputation has been unfairly tainted with those images of him at the end of his life. This idea of a bloated superstar hooked on medication, basically a junkie hoovering up burgers left, right, and centre. Yeah. That's an unfair.
Okay. I don't like that. I don't like the way that the interviewer does the whole, hoovering up burgers, junkie. I don't think there's actually any need for him to use those kind of words. Yeah, but being honest, if you speak to a non-Elvis fan who just generally recognizes Elvis's songs, come on, we all know Elvis is probably the most iconic singer that has ever lived. He's like Coca-Cola, isn't he? Like Pepsi. It's very easy for us to call him names. And in that interview, I think he could have worded that in a much more respectful way, because the fans don't want to hear those words, do they? Us fans don't want to hear him being called a junkie or a paedophile or, the whole burger thing. The other thing that bothers me is when people talk about the fact that he was found in the toilet. They like to ridicule it. It bugs me. But he, you know, he does go on to ask questions in a respectful way. So I'm not going to completely write him off. I'll just read a couple of comments, then I'll carry on playing this. So Tracy, Gladys had been receiving treatment for heart issues years before she passed away. Sadly, medical treatment back then was not as sophisticated as today. And that's so true. So hi, Helen Murray. How are you? Hope you're well. Welcome to our world. I love Elvis and Gladys, and look at Gladys' parents' upbringing and relationship with her son and Elvis. Elaine Dundee's book is very well researched. What is Elaine Dundee's book called? I'm going to take a picture of your comment just so that I can look up Elaine Dundee. And Helen, where are you from? Just let me know. Are you new or have we spoke before? Please let me know. And guys, please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so that when these live streams come up, that you get notified so you can watch it. And 78% of you guys are not subscribing, so it really does help the channel when you subscribe. And if you want to join the channel, just click join. It's $1 a month. It's literally nothing. I love my members. And James joined yesterday. Thanks, James. Thank you. Really appreciate it. So where are we? So we've got Naja. Yoga, meditation, healthy food could have helped him a lot. That is why Larry Geller was a good influence. And I really love Larry Geller. I think we're going to go through one of his books as well. Larry Geller and me and Larry Geller actually messaged each other once. It was only a very short message. I sent him a message. I'll find it for you. This message I sent was like 8 years ago, not expecting him to reply. Let me just see if I can find it. So I messaged, because I am a religious person. I'm a Christian, but I am quite spiritual. I do believe that we have this inner strength, this inner voice that many of us have lost touch with. So I am quite a spiritual person. I have meditated before. It's not something that I do a lot. I know that we have a side to us that is separate from our minds. I really believe that we genuinely do have a spirit within us. Right, so let me find the comment. I need to try and... So I messaged Larry Geller saying I felt that Larry was a true friend to Elvis, because I'd read all the different sort of bits about the Memphis Mafia and other people that I think had betrayed Elvis. So I wanted Larry Geller to know how I felt. Now, obviously, I never knew I was going to have a YouTube channel about Elvis, even though I always... Let's see if we can find I want to actually find the actual comment, because I sent it 8 years ago. And when I started my Elvis channel, I did actually message Larry saying, look, I've started an Elvis channel now. And I've done quite a few videos on Larry Geller. Sorry about this. Let me just find it. I wonder if I can put it in the search, if it will come up. Yes, here we go. Now, just so you guys know that I'm not lying, I'm going to show it you. Larry Geller. Can you see that, guys? I know it's a bit not clear. So I sent this comment on the 21st of June, 2015. So a long time ago. And I just write, hello, Larry. I just want you to know I think you are the most important thing that happened to Elvis. And what I meant by that was the problem you had is that everyone was sucking up to Elvis. Everyone was, how can I say it? Like they would laugh at his jokes when his jokes weren't funny. They just were constantly trying to keep him happy and please him. And none of them really were prepared to stand up to him. And not just the Memphis Mafia, many people around Elvis never, how can I say it? Because a lot of them worked for him. Yeah. So they were always, I better keep him happy. I don't want to lose my job. Oh, I don't want to stand up to him. He may lose his temper. I don't want to be in his bad books. And they would compete for favoritism as well, because Elvis would have his favorites. And I felt that Larry Geller, I know the whole story how Larry Geller had met Elvis, and Larry Geller was part of a very busy shop, one of the first ever male haircutting shops, and he was cutting hair for all the famous people, including people like Frank Sinatra. So eventually when Larry Geller met Elvis, I think he came to his house, and Elvis turns around to Larry and says to him, come on, what are you all about? Tell me about you and what you're into. And this is when it opened up this friendship about spirituality and religion and the meaning of life, the purpose of life. And what I liked about Larry was that he didn't just ass kiss. He didn't just kiss his ass. He made Elvis open his eyes and think about life and think about why he had such massive success, why he was born with these amazing talents. And that stuck with me. So one day, I can hear my little boy coming. Hi, Tino. Tino, remember I'm doing a live, so you have to be... You can say hello to everyone if you want. Crispies, right, let me just... Right, look at everyone over there and say hi. Habbo. Right, I'm going to open your crisps. Right, you can sit with Gio if you want.
The Gio's going.
All right, okay. Just get... Right. Well, okay. Right, let's just get him on my lap. So anyway, right, it's too heavy for me. Right, say hello to everyone. Wave, be nice. Tino is 4. So anyway, so I did this message.
And
But
Daddy,
no, you have to be quiet. You have to be quiet. Right.
Dad's not nice.
Yes, right. Speak quiet because I want to read this message. So, and the message said, I'm very spiritual. At the time, I was going through a bit of a spiritual phase. I don't know if any of you have heard of someone called Sadhguru. I was into Sadhguru. And then I write, I'm very spiritual and have loved Elvis since I was 5. He changed my life without him ever knowing. I feel his true essence every day and have always known he was much more than just his body and voice. Thank God he found you so the world can now know who he really was. Because I think once Larry Geller met Elvis and they had a true friendship, I think we started to see the real Elvis. And that documentary, The Searcher, I think Nadia mentioned that documentary, really tries to do this. It tries to understand Elvis and how he was. And so and I did not expect him to reply. I just wanted to send it. And he only gave me a very short reply. And he says, Louis, thank you for your very kind words. They mean everything to me. Let me just show you his reply. Thank you for your very kind words. They mean everything to me. I was actually gobsmacked that he replied. And then I just replied, thank you for your reply, Larry. You are a true friend to Elvis. Take care. I send you love. And then later, I just start sending him a couple of videos. Let me just, I'll click on the link and just see if it works. Let's have a look. So this is early on when I first started.
And just kept going and still running away, and I can't even think about it. I don't even like to wake up in the morning. But I wake up, it might be all over. But I want to be back driving a truck. It all happened so fast, but I don't have time to think about it. And everything just and just kept going and still running away, and I
can't even think about it. I don't even like to wake up in the morning. I thought I might wake up, it might be all over. I thought I might be back driving the truck.
I mean, that's quite hard to hear, guys, but that was when I just started doing the videos. And I think the gist of that little clip is Elvis just could not believe how famous he had become overnight so quickly, and he just didn't know what to do with it. That was that video. And then the other one I sent in was about the gambling of Colonel Tom Parker, I think. Guys, I'm going to make a couple of videos to do with Colonel Tom Parker's very serious gambling problem. I'm going to start with Larry Geller. And Colonel Tom Parker really did have a serious problem with his gambling. I think was out of control. And he was known to have owed the Las Vegas Hilton $30 million at the height of his debt. So let's have a listen to Larry Geller.
One night, I walked down to the casino. I just left Elvis. This was after his show. And I noticed there was a large group of people roped off, and they were all in front of a table watching someone gamble. And as I walked up, it was Colonel Parker.
And Colonel Tom Parker had secured a fantastic deal for Elvis at the Las Vegas Hilton. It was newly opened. So I sent him that. I was just sort of hoping that he may check my channel out, because I'd made thousands of videos and I was just proud. So anyway, let's get back to the Sally Hoddle interview, which I think is really good. Let's have a look. So as I was saying, guys, I'm just getting a feel for that book, Destined to Die Young by Sally Hoddle. So I'll just read a couple of comments from Helen. Hello, everyone, love Elvis. Right, here we are. So Helen says, hi, Louis, I'm from Yorkshire. Hello, Yorkshire. Yeah, that reminds me now. I do remember us speaking. I have spoken to you before, and I have subscribed to your amazing channel. Thank you. Thank you very much. Subscribing is good, man. And then, so right, let's carry on with this.
It's an unfair characterization. This is a great artist who, in the end, succumbed to natural illness.
Without question, there's so much truth in that. You know, Elvis has long been looked at through the lens of sensationalism and through the narrative of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And again, he was a male in the 1970s. He did not want to appear weak to even those around him, let alone his fans, right? So he hid so much of this and, again, medicated his way through this kind of fame that no one had ever experienced before. And because he was so famous and because he passed in the way that he did, again, it's just lent itself to sensationalism time after time after time. And even as a young girl, you know, always reading about Elvis, I would see that. But as a journalist, I wanted to explore it because I do believe Elvis is a historical figure. I believe he deserves, you know, the same kind of analysis as a Henry Ford or a George Washington, because he shaped our culture in such a big way. So I just wanted to give him
definitely, he's the Shakespeare of pop music. You know, he was probably the first global musical icon, you could argue, and he set the template for everything, whether it's the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, you name it. You know, and of course, he was the first to do it. Very sad that he had these health issues for his adult life. Did the illness in any way drive him? I mean, it's a perverse thought, but did it in some way prove to be a factor in his success, that because he faced these battles, he became very determined?
I think you could say that about his poverty and about his experience with fame, and certainly his experience with illness too. You know, I have long said that Elvis was the best interpreter of song, right? Like when he sings Kentucky Rain, you feel like he's walking in the rain in Kentucky, and the same thing with In the Ghetto. You know, that song was originally offered to Sammy Davis Jr., and Sammy Davis Jr. said, no, I didn't experience that life. Elvis did, because he knew the type of poverty that Elvis had lived through. So I think the pain of these ailments and continuing to be Elvis Presley through such pressure and such odds absolutely allowed him to connect with his music and his fans, you know, in a much more personal way. And he was very connected to his fans. And I think people forget that. You know, he would talk to them and meet them at the gate.
Yeah. I mean, the way she puts that is beautiful. Sorry about Tino's... he's dropped his phone, and now the screen isn't working properly. So he's probably going to come back and give me some grief now. But right. So I want to just read some basics about the book. Do any of you have this book? Let's have a look at it. So I did find a link that goes through many of the books that are more popular. It's quite a long link. So I was hoping to go through that, but I'm not sure if we can go through that now. But let's do the Destined to Die Young link. Where are we? I tend to store them all on my Facebook, and that way I can find them a bit easier. Let's have a look. So if what I did, I went to Amazon. So, and I put the Destined to Die Young in. And I find a lot of the books on Amazon, they're not actual books. They're like audio books. I don't want an audio, but I want the actual book. I want to build up my collection. So let's read what Amazon say about it. Here we go. Right, let's get it opened up. So we've got Destined to Die Young as a definitive examination of why the world lost Elvis Presley on August the 16th, 1977, when he was only 42 years old. The author, Sally Holdell, has painstakingly researched the subject and offers factual and scientific data, plus never before published information that she gained by interviewing people who personally knew him, to support her claim that Elvis Presley was never going to live a long life. It is a well-documented book, and Holdell explores how prescription medication was only one aspect of his compromised health and did not ultimately cause his death and his demise. She examines Elvis Presley, a son, a husband, a father, and a devoted friend, while plowing through the negative hype and legendary myths surrounded the man. Elvis's downward spiral of health struggles is presented, and for the first time ever is revealed that he suffered from disease in 9 of the 11 bodily symptoms, 5 of which were present from birth. Now, this is the bit that the public don't know. He was born, this is the bit that Sally is saying, he was born with 5 very serious body ailments. This book dispels the long-held theory that abuse of prescription drugs is what killed Elvis. And many of you say this to me in your comments. Elvis was very ill. He needed a lot of the medication. He needed a lot of it. But he did have, obviously, the uppers and the sleeping pills, and that's it. So Destined to Die Young is for anyone who is curious to know that the true story of one of the world's most famous cultural icons. For long time Elvis fans, it provided answers to lingering questions surrounding his death. You may be surprised to learn that based on Elvis Presley's family history and the genes he was dealt, nothing could have saved the king of rock and roll. I really want to read it now. I'm like, have any of you read this book, guys? Just look at what Tracy says. The two are written. Peter Guralnick, The Last Train to Memphis, a must-have. And I think I took a picture. I took a picture of some books. Let me just see if here we go. So The Last Train to Memphis. So Last Train to Memphis, The Rise of Elvis Presley and Peter Guralnick in this deeply researched biography. No, be quiet a minute. Guralnick paints a colourful portrait of the first 24 years of Elvis Presley's life, from his passion for music and early age to the year he was drafted and his mother died. Last Train to Memphis. Right, you can't talk because I'm trying to listen. Okay. So I took some pictures of some other books as well. Here we are. So we've got, let's have a look. So I'm just going to go through a couple of the books. I don't know if many of you have got these. Let's have a look. We've got, no, I'm not. Let's go to the ones. I just want to get the right one. So Elvis and the Memphis Mafia. So Elvis and the Memphis Mafia. I wonder if it. I'm just gonna. Then we got Me and a Guy Named Elvis by Jerry Schilling. Me and a Guy Named Elvis by Jerry Schilling. I just go. These are just these are like the big sellers on eBay. These ones. So we've got Ray Collins, Being Elvis. Do any of you guys have these books? I know, guys, there's so many in there. So let's have a look. I just clicked on the few. All right, the Elvis and Ginger book. A lot of people tell me that that was a good book. Elvis and Ginger. Let's have a look. So we've got Elvis Presley, A Life from Beginning to End. I don't recognize that one. I mean, The Last 24 Hours. We all know about this. I'll be honest with you, I find it difficult to watch The Last 24 Hours. It's just so sad so far. It's it's too sad. Too sad, right? But no, you're not doing that. Come on. So we've got. All right, there's another version called Destined to Die. I haven't heard that one. Elvis, Destined to Die. Never heard that one. Are there any books that you guys recommend? So what I want to do. I'm going to play the last bit of this, and then we're going to have to end it because we're going to go out for a bit. We're going to walk the dogs.
Very important to him.
Sally, will we ever get to the truth? And I know that you explore this in exhaustive and fascinating detail in the book, but will we ever get the truth about the circumstances of his death?
Well, it's a big question because, you know, what I really stumbled upon that surprised me more than most of it was that just how much privacy is still around Elvis as the figure, right? The most recognizable man on the planet. Almost everybody who's ever known him has written a book about him. And yet there was this layer and level of privacy that it was ensured around him. And certainly, you know, he has family members living at Graceland with him. His father is his manager, you know, his accountant. So he has so much privacy within that bubble that makes the truth also difficult, you know, to get to. But I do think that this book as close as we're going to get in terms of his death, because it does explore the health ailments that he really was dealing with. So when they talk about all the medication that was there, yes, some of it became a problem, but a lot of it was also there for a real reason, and we need to talk about that too.
Finally, Sally, do we know how fulfilled he was in his career creatively? Because many think that he was sort of encouraged by his management to make so many of those feature films, and also even the choice of music that he performed. I mean, we can agree that he was an unparalleled singer and performer, but some suggest that he'd like to have performed more complex and challenging music, stuff that's closer to jazz than rock and roll. Is there any truth in that?
Yeah, I think there is truth in that. And I think, you know, by exploring his health issues, I came to understand his struggle with poverty, but also his struggle with his manager, the Colonel. Because when you understand how poor he was and that his main objective was to pull his family out of that poverty, then you can understand that the Colonel was kind of in charge of the business and making the money deals, and Elvis was the creative guy. So when he's offered these projects, it's hard to say no to $1 million deal when he grew up with nothing. So when you can understand that, you know, it's also why he pushes himself so hard in the 70s when he's clearly ill and clearly needs to stop, but he's still focused on being a provider. So those themes run throughout his story along with the illness, you know, which is why this book is very much so about his life just as much as his death, because it's how he struggles with all of those things. And yes.
I mean, she's a smart lady. She knows exactly how to answer these questions, because I'm not totally mad about the interview. I think he's a bit trying to dig in there, but she is just on it. I'm going to look her up a lot more. I'm going to watch a lot more of her interviews. I've watched 3 today, and it was a bestseller. So she's definitely in tune with the Elvis fans, I think. So I just want to click on a link and just see if it comes up. I did find a link that through some of these. Right, so this is Presley blog, and I'll just read a short part of it. There are millions of different Elvis books out there. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but certainly there has been a flood of volumes published about the man since his death in 1977, and there's no end of insight. In 2007, an average of 2 Presley books hit the market each month. The problem for those seeking credible information about Elvis is this: which books are worth reading and which ones tell the truth? That's important to me. So I'm going to go through this a little bit. We'll just see how we get on with Tino. But if Tino is doing my head in, we're going to go and walk the dogs. I want to take him off out. We're going to go and have a massive egg, bacon, sausage meal today because it fits my diet and he likes it as well. Unfortunately, many of the books about Elvis in recent years mix half-truths and bias to distort his real legacy. At one end of the spectrum are the Elvis detractors, best typified by Albert Goldman's spurious biography, Elvis, published in 1981. I haven't read that. So much more numerous, but just as untrustworthy are the books written by Elvis's myth makers in their efforts to exalt Elvis. They credit him with either false or exaggerated accomplishment. On doing so, they defeat their own purpose. Instead of the exciting entertainer that he was, such books depict Elvis as some kind of freak who instigated righteous behavior wherever he went. I agree with that. Elvis, the way he's depicted sometimes really bothers me. Whilst writing Elvis 57, the final 50s tour, my goal was to be as accurate and objective as possible. There are other books, such as Peter Guralnick's 2-volume biography, Scotty Moore's autobiography, that also strive to earn the reader's trust through a factual, balanced look at Presley's life and work. Yeah, that's what we want, guys, isn't it? Of course, most of the commercial successful books about Elvis have been written by those who knew him, relatives, friends, fellow entertainers, employees, hanger-oners, and so forth. Some of these volumes tell the truth. Others tell fans what they want to hear, while still others contain half-truths and falsehoods. This is very well put, actually. My purpose here is to review Elvis's book with an eye for historical honesty. In addition to current books, some older volumes will be included, especially some that, in my opinion, belong in Elvis's public library, as well as on the shelf of every Elvis fan. Hopefully, these reviews will help you decide which of the books out there are worth reading. Check out the links below. Right, so there's a lot of links here. Let me just have a look. I would say, well, actually, not that many. Let's just count them. We've got 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. So 27 books. I'm just going to go through the titles very quickly. So we've got a basic Elvis library. The 10 essential books should be the library of every. All right, the way I see what he's done now. He's given one link. So this one link, a basic Elvis library, is for 10 books. Let me just carry on reading them. and we may try and click on some of these links. So absolutely the best book about Elvis is Elvis the Movies. Contains 33 reviews of his films and 500 pictures. Then we've got Elvis 1957, the final 50s tours, with Alan Hansen recalls Elvis Presley's final concert tours of the 1950s. Then we've got That's All Right, Elvis. And that Scotty Moore's book is still the best among the dozens of volumes written by Elvis's acquaintances. I bet that's a good book. All right, mate? So, right, let me just go through this bit. We've nearly finished now. Then we've got Elvis Presley, The Missing Years. And then we've got The Missing Years in Germany. Elvis recalls Elvis' military tour in Germany, where he met his future wife and started down the road to prescription drugs. I think I've got that book. I think it was bought for me for my birthday. Then we've got Elvis 57, the final 50 tours. In his review, David Neal calls this volume one of the best books in many years. So we've got Elvis in American Heritage Magazine. The writer is Will Friedwald, assesses Elvis's musical legacy. Right, the one we all know, guys, Elvis, What Happened. And at the time of his death, 3 of Elvis's bodyguards revealed details of his bizarre private life. Their story about their former boss remains flawed but important. Well, I have strong issues with that book. That book should never have been written. Very upset that book was written. I think they completely let Elvis down. Not for a second do I believe that they were trying to help Elvis. Really don't. I think this was a money thing because they were bitter, angry, and upset. But do I think the Memphis Mafia loved Elvis? I do. But I think that book, when they released it and it came out shortly before he died, was a massive mistake. And Elvis was very, very upset that it happened. And I've had people tell me that Elvis didn't care and that he forgave them. No, I've listened to the Red West conversation that is on YouTube. And yes, Elvis was very civil and polite and fair, but there's no way Elvis wanted that book. And Elvis did feel betrayed. He did, in my opinion. So then we've got Elvis 56 in the Beginning by Alfred Wertheimer. Then we've got As Seen on TV in the 1950s. The author was Carol Ann Marlin, examines the impact of Presley on a small screen in 1956. Then Looking Back to See, Maxine Brown, I've never heard of that, describes country and music and describes the relationship between Elvis and the Browns in the 1950s. Maxine Brown, not sure who that is. Then we have Return of the King, Elvis Presley's Great Comeback. So it's pretty obvious what that's about. Then we have Elvis in Vegas, Ken Sharp. I'm just trying to, right, I'm going to just see if there's any of these books that stand out. That would be good. Elvis, A Boy from Tupelo. I've heard of that book. Ernst Junz chronicles how the music converged in Elvis during his youth. We've just mentioned Elvis and Ginger, which I've heard is okay. And Nadia said she's going to... so, Nadia, you've been reading that, yeah? I'm going to go back to the top and I'm going to click on that link that says it's the 10 best books. Let's see if it comes up. So I'm going to be controversial and say that the Gurnik is massively overrated. He claims to provide a fact-based account, but puts forward questionable interpretations of events on almost every page. So that's Welsh Backgammon. Welsh Backgammon, hello. Are you new to the channel? Welcome. What's your name? My name's Louis. So, yes, the 10 books have come up. So The Last Train to Memphis, The Rise of Elvis Presley in 1994, Careless Love, The Unmaking of Elvis Presley's... No, calm down. Peter... All right, here we are, Peter Grolnick. So, hi, Matt. How are you? You okay? So, yeah, your book comes up straight away. the Grolnick book. An Elvis library should be anchored by a biography with, I can't say his name, Grolnick. Its 2-volume set is still the most comprehensive and one available. Some find it tedious, lacking in enthusiasm, but no Elvis biographies can match the breadth and detail that this book provides. Jerry Hopkins' in 1971 biography is woefully out of date. And Albert Goldman's 1981 account of Presley's life is slanted that it can't be trusted. Okay, next book, Elvis Presley, A Life in Music, a complete recording session in Ernst. Okay, then we have Elvis Aaron Presley's Revelations from the Memphis Mafia with Billy Smith and Marty Lacker and Lamar Fike. Okay, then we've got That's All Right, Elvis by Scotty Moore, as just told by James Dickerson. Of those who backed Elvis on stage in the 50s, only Scotty Moore and DJ Fontana have written books. It's just as well. Bill Black, who retained bitter feelings towards Elvis, never wrote down his memoirs prior to passing away in 1965. It is a pity, however, that none of the Jordanaires ever recorded memories of Elvis's book. I didn't know Bill Black had bad blood with Elvis. Did any of you guys know that? Matt, where are you actually in Wales? Because it says here Welsh backgammon. Where are you from, Matt? Thankfully, Scotty Moore, who was there from the very beginning, provides a unique perspective on the rise of Elvis Presley in the book of Scotty Moore. Certainly gives Elvis his due, but also outlines recurring disappointments in his relationship with Elvis. In his occasion, inconsiderate treatment of his backup musicians, the reader begins to understand how Elvis refused to take control of his own career. It was not in Scotty's makeup, however, to harbor resentment towards Elvis, and that comes across clearly in the title of the content. So the next book is Sergeant Presley, Our Untold Stories of Elvis' Missing Years by Rex Mansfield, Elizabeth Mansfield, Zoe Terrell, and Marshall Terrell, and this is 2003. The book, which was the first published in 1983 under the title Elvis and the Soldier, is clearly the best account of Elvis's army years. Rex Mansfield was inducted into the army in Memphis on the same day that Elvis was his constant companion throughout the 2 years army stretch as Elvis' girlfriend and personal secretary in Germany. Elizabeth Stefaniak was also close to Presley during those years. And many of us, I didn't know, many of us didn't realize that Elvis had a girlfriend in Germany called Elizabeth Stefaniak. I think, who told me about her? I think it was Tracy told me about her, and I read about it later on. Right, I'm with you. Well, Matt, I'm in Weston-super-Mare near Bristol. Have you ever been there? So, Tracy, you found the book. Is this the book Elvis Day by Day? I've not heard of that book. Do you know what? See, look, Tracy, you say it, and here it comes. Right, let's have a look. So we've got Elvis Day by Peter Grolnick. I can't say his name, guys. And Ernst Jorgensen in 1999. As the title signifies, this volume provides a straight chronological accounting of Elvis's life from the day of his birth in 1935 until the day of his death in 1977. Grolnick, the biographer, provides Presley's coming and goings, while music historian Jorgensen contributes the recording session and concerts information. The book could be read cover to cover like any other Elvis book, but I have used it mainly as a reference to volumes. It makes it easy to locate such things as what Elvis did on Christmas days of his life and what he did on his birthdays and so on. In fact, an Elvis historian and blogger, I've consulted this volume more often than any other book. So you can actually consult it for history. Right. Bristol's a lovely place, but with an underbelly of poverty. Well, we have that in Weston-super-Mare. Have you heard of Weston-super-Mare?
But
Right.
blue.
Right, right, let's have a look. Where are we now? Which book are we up?
Daddy,
Right, yes.
I'm getting blue.
Okay, mate. Right, so the next book.
And yellow.
We're on number 7. So when we get to 10, I'm going to have to take him out. We're coming up to an hour. So thanks for joining in with me, guys. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Very important. Hit the notification bell. Right, so Elvis and his life from A to Z from Fred Worth and Steve Tamirius in 1988. Most of Elvis fans occasionally want to recall isolated and obscure fact about Elvis. That's when it's handy to have an Elvis encyclopedia on the shelf. A number of such references works have been published, but I find the most useful in the addition of the 220 section on people and places and things that Elvis in his life. The book detailed every Elvis recorded, every movie he made, and every record he released, every concert, and every TV appearance, along with many other items. Wow, now that's a book. His life from A to Z. I want to buy that. Right. Next one is The Return of the King, Elvis Presley's great comeback. So I always think that Elvis had 2 comebacks. He's got the 68 comeback, and then I think in 1969, late 69, when he kicks off his Vegas stuff. I think he looks amazing in both. Day to Day sounds like a good timeline reference for us. You started any chat. I do, Nadia, yes, but I haven't done it I haven't written it down. I've been storing it on my phone. My brother keeps saying to me, you got to write it down. I'm like, no, I'm doing it on my phone. Private Elvis by Cortez has a great collection of photos of him cavorting with German barmaids, showgirls. I'm not going to even say that. I don't know how the Colonel kept them out of view at the time. Come on, he was a young man. He was a virile young man. So this book, Return of the King, Elvis Presley's Great Comeback by Gillian G. Garr in 2010. Although Returns of the King covers the last 10 years of Elvis' life, its main focus is the revival of Elvis' career, starting with his 1968 NBC TV comeback special through to his return to his live performances in Las Vegas, and the following year, the author wisely stays in the background and lets the character, including musician, producer, costas, and fans, tells the story of Elvis' comeback in their own words. In particular, this book comprehensively covers of the 68 TV special and is the best I've seen. You will notice that all of the other books on the list date from 1990s. I'd rate Return of the King, published in 2010, as the best Elvis book written in the past 10 years. Oh, that's a good review. So, but he's highly recommending Return of the King. Right, let's remember that. So number 9, obviously, it's all about Elvis, what happened. You know I don't like this book, but I'll tell you what, I've been looking on eBay at this book, and these books are selling for £100 each. If you've got an original Elvis What Happened book, and I used to have this book when I was in my teens, it's worth £100, guys. Rock on, Naja. Right, here we go. What Happened by Red West, Sonny West, and Dave Hebler, as told to Steve Dunleavy in 1977. If you want to go back in time and sit in the most emotional and confusing time in Elvis Presley's life, then read this book. And while you're reading, keep reminding yourself that the book came out at virtually the same time when Elvis died in 1977. Think about how gut-wrenching it was for Elvis, to first learn about the dark side of his life at the same time that they unexpectedly lost him. Bloody right. Gut-wrenching is the good word. Gut-wrenching. Immediately after the 3 of Elvis's bodyguards' authors were bitter and biased, they all had been fired just a few months before. Still, subsequent revelations by other members of Presley's inner circle have confirmed that most of the information in what happened is true. What makes this book an integral part of Elvis's library is the historical impotence it lays bare Elvis's personal life the first time, and so encouraged others to write a book. Yes, but Destined to Die Young, it will contradict a lot of this, because a lot of the medication he was on, he needed. I also accept fully that he abused his medication, and I'm sure there's many points in this book that are true, but there's also many points in this book I think have been massively exaggerated. That's just my opinion. Right, so just read this last section and we're done, guys. Right, I know I haven't even heard of that one, but thank you. So thanks, Matt. Have you mentioned The Rough Guide to Elvis yet by Paul Simpson? That's a great overview. I'll look that up. So it says, a few others in my Elvis library are Elvis in Texas, The Undiscovered King, and we've got The Story of the King's Return to Concert Stage. Then we have The Final 50s Tour. So I'll just quickly, before I go, I'll just type in this book that you've just mentioned, Matt. Because I'm no expert. I'm learning as I go. We're learning together. I got a lot to learn. I haven't read loads of books. Let's have a look. So it's called The Rough Guide to Elvis. Right. Let me just see if it comes up. Rough Guide to Elvis. Here we go. Oh, it's not expensive. It's cheap. We found a book that is not a rip-off. Let's have a look. So look at that. Look at that, guys. £3.29. £3.29 delivered on Amazon. Let's have a look. Let's see if it does a write-up on it. Right, here we go. An enlightening, informative, and entertaining look at the man and his career, drawing on interviews with Elvis associates as well as his own words, covers his life, his musical history, and the background to the 50 Elvis songs, the 33 movies, and it looks at Elvis's icon, reviews all the biographies, and included a fan travel guide in Memphis. Wow. Is this just, I just want to make sure this is an actual book and not an audio book. It is. I'm going to buy it. Matt, I'm going to buy this book. That is so cheap. I can't believe that. Free delivery, £3.29. It sounds too good to be true. I'm going to buy it. Add to baskets. We can go through this book together. Nice one, yeah. Look, proceed to checkout. Such a bargain. Buy now. Ta-da. Your order is placed. Let's just let it click up. It probably cost them more to send it. Look, order placed. Order placed. Thank you. Can't believe that. £3.29. Crazy. All right, so look, all right, so we've got the new Riley Keough book. While we're here, guys, on Amazon. Well, that's not too bad. They've dropped the price. I might even buy that. So, in fact, I will buy that. From Here to the Great Unknown. Yeah. We're all talking about this book, obviously, because it's Riley Keough and Lisa Marie. And it's the hardcover copy. I want the hardcover because it tends to have bigger letters because I can't read because I'm blind. And it's giving you 25% off if you pre-order it. So it's normally £25 and it's $18.69. I'm going to order it. Nadia, how much did you pay for it? before I order it, let's just see. So from here to the great unknown. Let me just type it in. From here. Let's just see how much it comes up. So we've got one here. This is right. So this is £18.69. Oh, there's only one link. Let me just see. I'll just quickly go, guys, while we're here, I'll quickly go on eBay and type it in. I want that book. See what happens. From here to the great unknown. And we know that is a gospel song that he loved, that Lisa Marie also sang with him as a duet. From here to the great. And I know you guys are all talking about the fact that Priscilla was chopped out of the cover. Yeah, so we click on eBay. There's one that says £18.69. But the weird thing is they're saying we're going to get it on the 6th of August. Is that right? I thought it wasn't out till October. I'll just read it. Pre-order for release in October the 15th, 2024. Born to an American myth raised in the wilds of Graceland, Lisa Marie Presley tells her whole story of the first time in the raw, riveting, one-of-a-kind memoirs faithfully completed by her daughter, Riley Keough. In 2022, Lisa Marie Presley asked her daughter to help finally finish. Hang on, hello. Gino, there's people watching. Look.
They can't see me.
They can hear you though.
They can't see me.
Right, I just want to read this so we can go. Right, look, if you're quiet, we're going to go and buy you a toy and take you to McDonald's.
What about buying me a sweet?
Yeah, and sweets, but you have to be shh. So born to an American myth and raised in the wilds of Graceland, Lisa Marie Presley tells the story of her first time in the raw, riveting, one-of-a-kind memoir faithfully completed by her daughter, Riley Keough. In 2022, Priscilla Presley asked her daughter to help finally finish her long-conceived memoir. A month later, Lisa Marie was dead and the world would never know her story. In her own words, never know the passionate, joyful, caring and complicated woman that Riley loved and grieved. So Riley got the tapes that her mother had recorded for the book and laid in her bed and listened, and as Lisa Marie told the story after story about smashing golf carts together in the yards of Graceland, about the unconditional love that she felt from her father, about being upstairs, just the two of them, about getting dragged, screaming out of the bathroom as she ran towards his body on the floor. Oh, that's horrible. About living in Los Angeles with her mother and getting sent to school after school. Is that Scientology? Or did she then go on to Scientology after that? Always kicked out, always in trouble, about her singular lifelong relationship with Danny Keough. And we know that really she truly loved Danny Keough and regretted splitting up from him. About being married to Michael Jackson. Well, that'll be interesting. And what they had in common, about motherhood, about deep addiction, and about her ever-present grief. Riley knew she had to fulfill her mother's wish to reveal these memories of incandescent and painful to the world, to make her mother known. This extraordinary book, composed of both Lisa Marie's voice and mother and communications across the death to heal each other, profoundly moving and deeply revealing. From here to the great unknown is a book like no other. Nadia, how much do you pay? I think they're at 20 Swiss francs. What's that in British money? Picabo Timo. Yeah, Tino, he's saying. Have any of you guys ordered this book? I'd like to know. Right, I just want to check out his, because obviously I'd like to get it in August. It says here August the 6th. Let's have a look. I just want to make sure this is not a scam. So I just, on the description, I just want to see if it mentions anything about the delivery. I want to see how much of a percentage, because I do trust Amazon a lot more. Let's see if he's got good feedback. So 96%, no, 99.6% feedback, joined in 2018. That's not bad. £18.69. I'm just going to check the delivery date. 18 to 20 quid maybe. Right. I just want to check the delivery date on Amazon. But it doesn't say a delivery date. Let's have a look. All right. It's the German edition. We don't want the German edition. Right. I'm going to go and buy it on eBay. Let's buy that. So I'll just show you it. 1869 on eBay. Delivery 6th, between the 6th and the 12th of August. I'm doing it, guys. I'm doing it. So from here to, yeah, it clearly says the delivery date. I'm just double checking. Yep. So pay. Yes, I've got it, guys. Got it. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, thanks for shopping with us. I look forward to that. We're going to go through that book together, guys. We're going to read it together. So don't forget, later on, we're doing another chapter of this. And today, I did do Elvis and Me, probably when a lot of you weren't awake. And I did chapter 9 earlier. So if you want to go back and watch that, I may do another chapter of this, chapter 10. And on this book, I think we are up to, where are we? I'm pretty sure. Let me check. We are up to, we did a chapter last night, guys, yeah? So let's just check. Contents. We did. Last night we did chapter 6. Chapter 6. So we're going to be on chapter 7. Chapter 7, sex pot, I think. Is that 100% correct? I think so. So I don't know if you remember, guys, I did the video about all the movies, all the different, a lot of you on here went through this video with me, and I was copyrighted by YouTube. They didn't tell me off. They just said we've had to delete some of the sections in my movie Elvis movies live stream. Not much, only a few little bits, but most of that video is still there. It was an hour and 26 minutes long, and they only deleted about 2 minutes of it. So I thought they would. I just got to be a bit more careful when I'm playing videos that have music, because if I'd shown you the clips without the music, I think they would have been okay. It's only when the music's there that they get a bit funny. It's playing Italy. Yeah, will be watching us beat the current European Championship. So, all right, they're playing at 6 p.m. Are they? My son will be interested in that. You know, my son Giovanni is obsessed with football. Personally, I don't think England are doing very well. I think they're having a bit of a tough time. It hasn't been a sale in the park, has it? So, what was the score for Switzerland, Nigel? Was it 1-1? Can you tell me? Right, so we've had lots of fun. I know that many of you will watch this later. So later on, like at the moment, there's only 7 people. There's only 7 of us. But later on, there'll be like 500 people that have watched this video. So, like, look, I did the Presley book Child Bride last night. and it's already had 400 views. Bearing in mind, it's an hour and 20 minutes long. So a lot of these videos get watched later on. So guys, later on when you wake up, good morning. Thanks for watching. I only just discovered you on here. Have you been doing it long? I already follow EAP Society and King Cool, but they're both American. So it makes a change here to hear your voice. No, I haven't been doing it long. This is very new for me. The live streams, I think, are only around a month. But I don't know how well you know my channel, Matt, but I've done over 4,000 videos and shorts. And I've been obsessed with Elvis since I was 4 years old. And a big part of this channel, Matt, is we are here to defend Elvis, So when we're hearing any negative stories about Elvis, we're trying to read between the lines and get to the truth. And I'm not here to bash Priscilla or be a hate on Priscilla, but if Priscilla does or says things I think are unfair to Elvis, I will voice my views. And many of the subscribers on this channel have strong feelings about Priscilla. Where I want us to stay very respectful, I still think we have the right to our opinions. So I've got strong opinions about how Priscilla treated Elvis, but I'm also very fair because I know that Elvis has made many mistakes. I'm not going to whitewash Elvis, and he also was very unfair to Priscilla on and off through the years. So what I'm trying to do on this channel is defend Elvis in a respectful way, but I won't lie for Elvis. I won't, because I'm a fan, say, oh, well, everything Elvis did was perfect and Elvis is an angel and he can do no wrong. I won't do that. I will say, yes, Elvis messed up. Yes, Elvis gave in to temptation. Okay, he took medication. Sometimes he abused it. He was unfaithful sometimes, or he had a temper. But I'll then go on to Priscilla and list the mistakes that she made, like when she was unfaithful and the things that she did that were unfair to Elvis, like the divorce settlements. So I try and get a balanced view. Obviously, my heart is with Elvis, but on this channel, you will hear passionate views about Priscilla. You will. And part of the reason we're going through this book, Matt, is because we want to pick out the bits in it that we don't think are true. We're trying to get an unbiased, fair view of this book. Even though I actually have enjoyed this book, I do think that it's been twisted to suit Priscilla's timeline and narrative and her point of view, which, fair enough, she wrote the book with her friend Sandra Harmon. Now, this book, I know Priscilla was a little bit involved in this book because she met the author, but this book has a completely different perspective on things from the point of view of the author and all the witnesses in this book. Now, am I saying things in this book are true? I don't know. I actually don't know. We're going to read it together and we're going to, between us, as Elvis fans, we're going to decide what we think is true in this book and what isn't. Some of the things in this book do seem very far-fetched. So we're just going to use our common sense and decide how we feel. We don't know. But I am definitely not a Priscilla bashing channel. We are not a Priscilla hate channel. We are going to do things in a respectful, friendly way and try and be kind. That's it. Anyway, guys, we've been on ages. I hope you understood that, Matt. You know where we're coming from. You're very welcome to our small family. You're welcome to my kitchen, and you're going to have to put up with the noise of my kids in the background. And there's only a few on now. I find that in the evenings, we have a lot more people joining. So last night, I think there was about 40 people in the discussion, and many of them have got to know each other now. So I like watching you guys all chatting with each other. You've all become mates. I like that. But we are growing. This is quite a new channel. We are growing. I would say it's only been about 3 weeks with the live streams. So we've all got to know each other quite quickly in the last few weeks, I think. But you're all great, all of you. You are my family. You're my friends. Anyway, thanks Nadia and Matt and Tracy. And let's scroll back. So we've got Helen, just Guyana. Thanks, and thanks a lot for all your little comments on my channel. Nadia, I've been getting all your comments. I do read every comment, and I try to reply to every comment. And I sort of set aside time specifically to go through these comments. I love them. I love your comments. Your comments teach me. I need to be taught. You know a lot more about Elvis than I do. So the more knowledge you give me, the better. So thanks, guys. I'm out of here. Take care. I'll just scroll down, make sure I haven't missed any of your comments. Welsh backgammon, £2. What does that mean? All right, okay, well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Matt, going to make lunch now. Bye, guys. No sugar, Nadia, no sugar. And good luck with the game. Good luck with the Switzerland game. Thanks, guys. Love you, all of you. Sending you love. We'll be on later.